After a while, they head back to the tower, and Laila notices Wanda being sad, and she looks over to Steve, who walks over to her to talk to her, and after a while, Vision phased through the walls. We talked about this, Wanda says. Yes, but the door was open, so I assumed that... Vision says. Then he notices Wanda and Steve looking at him before continuing. Captain, Rogers wished to know when Mr. Stark was arriving. Thank you. We'll be right down, Steve says. I'll use the door, Vision says as he walks out of the door. Oh, and apparently he brought a guest, Vision says as he stops near the door and looks back over to Steve and Wanda. We know who it is? Steve asks. The Secretary of State, Vision replies before leaving. Steve looks over to Wanda before standing up alongside her and walks into Avengers Facility conference room. The Secretary of State, Thaddeus Ross, is standing at the head of a table. Rhodey, Natasha, Steve, Tony, Sam, Vision, Wanda, Pietro and Laila are gathered around. 5 years ago, I had a heart attack. I dropped right in the middle of my backswing. Turned out it was the best round of my life because after 13 hours of surgery and a triple bypass, I found something 40 years in the army had never taught me. Perspective. The world owes the Avengers an unpayable debt. You have fought for us, protected us, risked your lives. But while a great many people see you as heroes, there are some. Who would prefer the word vigilantes? Secretary Ross says. And what word would you use, Mr. Secretary? Natasha asked. How about dangerous? What would you call a group of US-based enhanced individuals who routinely ignore sovereign borders and inflict their will wherever they choose, and who, frankly, seem unconcerned about what they leave behind? Ross says. Ross activates a screen behind him. News footage from past Avengers and S.H.I.E.L.D. matters flash on the screen as he speaks. New York, Ross says. A Chitauri Leviathan, terrified citizens, a soldier firing a gun. The Hulk smashes into a building and sends a dust cloud to engulf the camera. Rhodey looks regretful. He glances behind him at Natasha. Washington, D.C., Ross says. The 3 Insight helicarriers firing on each other. The destroyed Triskelion, a helicarrier crashing into the Potomac and throwing up a massive wave, engulfing citizens and the camera. Sam looks down. Sokovia, Ross says. Terrified citizens running. The city rising, a building falling over. Wanda stares at the screen, as does Tony as well as Pietro. Lagos, Ross says. The burning building, paramedics moving a body, a dead girl. Wanda is particularly affected by the footage from Lagos. Steve sees this and intervenes. Okay, that's enough, Steve says, and the screen goes dark. The silence is thick. Laila leans forward, eyes fixed on Ross. You call that perspective? Laila speaks up and Ross looks over to her, but Laila continues to speak. All I see is you cherry-picking moments to make us look like the villains. You did not show the people we got out before the Chitauri levelled blocks, or the thousands who did not drown in DC because Steve and Sam took down Hydra, or the Sokovians who made it home because we were there. And yet, the death toll, Ross tries to speak, but Laila interrupts, is a hell of a lot smaller because of us. If you want to count bodies, fine, but count all of them. Count the ones that are still breathing because we fought. The room became tense. Ross presses his lips into a thin line, then sets a thick document on the table. The Sokovia Accords, approved by 117 countries. It states that the Avengers shall no longer be a private organisation. Instead, they will operate under the supervision of a United Nations panel, only when and if that panel deems it necessary. Ross says as he passes the Think document over to Wanda. The Avengers were formed to make the world a safer place. I feel we have done that, Steve says. Tell me, Captain, do you know where Thor and Banner are right now? Ross asks, and Steve looks up and meets Ross's eyes as Ross continues to speak. If I misplaced a couple of 30 megaton nukes, you can bet there would be consequences. Compromise, reassurance. That is how the world works. Believe me, this is the middle ground. So there are contingencies, Rhodey asks. 3 days from now, the UN meets in Vienna to ratify the accords, Ross says. Steve glances at Tony. Talk it over, Ross says. And if we come to a decision you don't like, Natasha asks him, then you retire. Ross says as Natasha stifles a smile, but Laila just leans back again, crossing her arms with a scoff. Right, because nothing says making the world safer like benching the people who actually save it, Laila says in flat and unimpressed tone. Ross ignores the jab and walks out, leaving the room thick with tension. After Ross left, everyone is now gathered in Avengers facility common room. Steve sits at the coffee table, studying the accords. Behind him, Rhodey and Sam are mid-argument. Laila is leaning against the kitchen counter, arms folded, observing. Secretary Ross has a Congressional Medal of Honor, which is one more than you have, Rhodey says. So, let us say we agree to this thing. How long is it going to be before they low-jack us like a bunch of common criminals? Sam spats back. 117 countries want to sign this. 117, Sam! And you are just like, no, that's cool. We got it. Rhodey countered and Laila cut in, raising a brow. Numbers do not make it right, Rhodey. 117 people can agree on a bad idea. It is still a bad idea. Rhodey shot her a look, but Vision's calm voice broke in. I have an equation, Vision said. Oh, this will clear things up, Sam muttered, but Vision continued as if he had not heard. In the 8 years since Mr. Stark announced himself as Iron Man, the number of known enhanced persons has grown exponentially. And during the same period, the number of potentially world-ending events has risen at a commensurate rate. Steve's eyes narrowed. He asked, Are you saying it's our fault? Vision replied evenly, I am saying there may be a causality. Our very strength invites challenge. Challenge incites conflict. And conflict breeds catastrophe. Oversight is not an idea that can be dismissed out of hand. Rhodey grinned. Boom. Tony is lying on the couch. When Natasha speaks, he looks at her. Tony, you are being uncharacteristically non-hyperverbal, Natasha said. Steve glanced over at him. He said, It's because he's already made up his mind. Tony quipped, Boy, you know me so well. He pushed himself up with a wince, rubbing the back of his head. Actually, I'm nursing an electromagnetic headache. He walked toward the kitchen, passing Laila. She tracked him the whole way, not saying a word. Yet, that's what is going on, Cap. It is just pain. It is discomfort. Who is putting coffee grounds in the disposal? Am I running a bed and breakfast for a biker gang? Tony complained. He grabbed a mug, set his phone in the basket and tapped the screen. A hologram of a smiling young man flickered to life. Oh, that's Charles Spencer, by the way. He is a great kid. Computer engineering degree, 3.6 GPA. Had a floor-level gig at Intel planned for the fall. But first, he wanted to put a few miles on his soul before he parked it behind a desk. See the world, maybe be of service. Charlie did not want to go to Vegas or Fort Lauderdale, which is what I would do. He did not go to Paris or Amsterdam, which sounds fun. He decided to spend his summer building sustainable housing for the poor. Guess where, Sokovia, Tony said. The others look affected by this. There's no decision-making process here. We need to be put in check. Whatever form that takes, I am game. If we cannot accept limitations, if we are boundaryless, we are no better than the bad guys, Tony said firmly. Laila pushed off the counter, her voice sharp but steady. Put in check by who, Tony? A UN panel that will pat us on the back one week and leash us the next? You think they will not send us into messes just to serve their politics? It is still oversight. It is better than nothing, Tony shot back. Oversight without trust is control, and control in the wrong hands gets people killed. I am not signing up to be someone's weapon on a leash, Laila replied without hesitation. Tony, someone dies on your watch. You don't give up, Steve said as he leans forward. Who said we're giving up? Tony answered. We are if we are not taking responsibility for our actions. This document just shifts the blames, Steve countered. I am sorry, Steve. That is dangerously arrogant. This is the United Nations we are talking about. It is not the World Security Council. It is not SHIELD. It is not HYDRA, Rhodey interrupted. No, but it's run by people with agendas, and agendas change. Steve shot back. That's good. That is why I am here. When I realised what my weapons were capable of in the wrong hands, I shut it down and stopped manufacturing. Tony gestured. Tony, you chose to do that. If we sign this, we surrender our right to choose. What if this panel sends us somewhere we do not think we should go? What if there is somewhere we need to go, and they do not let us? We may not be perfect, but the safest hands are still our own, Steve replied. Especially when those hands actually give a damn about the people we're saving, Laila muttered. If we do not do this now, it is going to be done to us later. That is the fact. That will not be pretty, Tony warned. You're saying they'll come for me? Wanda asks, and Laila looks over to Wanda before sitting down next to her. We would protect you, Vision reassured. Maybe Tony's right, Natasha said. Tony's head snapped toward her. He asked, I'm sorry, did you just... If we have one hand on the wheel, we can still steer. If we take it off, Natasha continued. Aren't you the same woman who told the government to kiss her ass a few years ago? Sam cut in. I am just Dot. I am reading the terrain. We have made 0.000 some very public mistakes. We need to win their trust back, Natasha explained. Trust is not something you buy with obedience, Nat. You bend too far for them once, they will expect you to keep bending, Laila said. Focus up. No. You cannot take it back now. Thank you. Unprecedented. Okay, case closed. I win. Tony smirked. As they finish talking, Steve receives a notification on his phone, and he checked the message. She is gone. In her sleep. Laila looks over to Steve as he puts down the accords and stands up and strode out. Tony looks over to Laila, confused. What was that about? Tony asks, and Laila just stands up and follows Steve.